in the ministry. All right. Welcome everyone. Welcome to another night of Deep Ministry, where we read the Christ letters from Christ's Way by Recorder. It's been such a blessing. And I hope if you've been listening or following us, I hope you also been blessed. Also, you hope you also having a wonderful day, a wonderful time. I hope you're increasing your consciousness, raising your vibration, and raising your vibrational frequency. And just remember, if you hear we thought we're talking about all these, raising your vibration frequency, and you'll be like, what's that? What's that? Um, it's nothing different. It's just who you are. The law of polarity states that we're just one pole. We're just at different ends of the same pole. So there's not those who are conscious and those who are subconscious now. It's just you not raising your frequency and your vibration so you can experience the divine things. Um, at one pole, you have um, let's say the universal consciousness, divine consciousness at one of the end of the pole, and at the other end you have matter. That's who we are, the visible aspect of us. So if you're looking at the visible aspect of you and say, this is who I am, you see yourself in the mirror and be like, this is who I am. That means you're not conscious of your divinity. You're not conscious that you're not separated from God, that you are God in this flesh. Not the God, but He's our creator, He's our father. And you're not that divine source, but you have an aspect of God within you. And last week we realized that this is what Christ was telling us. All those parables about the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven is likened unto. The kingdom of heaven is likened unto. He was talking about the soul. That's who we really are, the true aspect of us. When our soul is done with this body, it just takes up and leave and move on. We do not die. The matter will die, this visible aspect of us die, but we are energy beings and we move on. So our goal is to find that kingdom of heaven on earth. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. We have to find that and its righteousness, and all things will be added unto us. So that's what we should be seeking. Give everything to our higher self, the all-knowing self, our true self, our soul. Okay? All right. Yes. So that's what we went over last week. It was a blessing, it was a revelation. We came into understanding of the importance of the soul and how and oh, that's what Christ came. That's why he came. That's why he came. He knew the power that lives within us. He knew it. He knew it. He knew it. So we bless everyone. And tonight we're still on letter 4B, and we're going to talk about Christ's going to try to let us understand universal consciousness and divine consciousness. If you've been listening to these letters, these phrases have been mentioned a lot. Christ talk about universal consciousness and divine consciousness. So we're going to go deeper into that. And I just want to say too, at the start of this, when I started this ministry, I think last year, April, I there was a theme I did. I forgot what it was, and you know what? But it was about the divine mantra, the divine mantra. And I'm finding that I'm hearing it in my spirit now. I don't know what's going on around us or what, but that divine mantra, when you say no evil can come near you, if you're in the presence of anything evil, and it's not even your presence, your energy field come against anything like that. If you're around that energy, um when you say that divine mantra, that divine song, kodoish 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 Adonai Sebayath, everything will be removed from your presence. I just feel myself just calling upon those, using those words now more than ever. And it's the same as holy, holy, holy Lord God Almighty. That's in Revelation. So do your research. And if you want to go on Deep Ministry, and I did it under Divine Mantra or Divine Song. That's if you're feeling where there's just something in the atmosphere, maybe or biofield or energy field or picking up things, I'm not sure. But if it's of God, it won't hurt you. But if you say these words and it's removed, that just something trying to tap into your energy field. All right. And if you want to do more, I have many videos on that. So please check it out on Deep Ministry, or you do your own studies and please share with us. All right. So we're going to go forward, reading the Christ letters. And I always, there's okay, yes. So last week we stopped at Christ under just told us. Let me see if I can see where he told us um about. Yeah, so Christ told us that when he talks about the kingdom of heaven, he's talking about our soul. So I said here, it is your soul. It is the heaven of equilibrium of the divine consciousness which gave you being as a future man or woman. This is what our soul is. And it says here, when I was on earth, I spoke to the people about the kingdom of heaven. I said it was within you. So it is. It is your soul. It is the haven of equilibrium of the divine consciousness, which gave you being as a future man or woman. The soul gave us being. And earlier, Christ said, if you've been following, Christ said, you know what? We just call the source of our being that which gave us being. It didn't say that which created us. It didn't say that, but that which gave us being. We call the source of our being by different names. That's what we do. We call the source of our being by different. Yeah. So, if we say Jesus, um, oh, I didn't share the screen. Sorry. Uh, hey sis, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, so we call the source of our being by different names. If we say Jesus, if we say Allah, if we say Muhammad, Buddha, whatever, we those things we worship, Jehovah. we're just calling the source of our being by different names. Yeah. And so tonight the topic is Christ is gonna show us the difference between universal consciousness and divine consciousness. So we're gonna go deeper into this and see, we never can predict what direction he's gonna go. We'll just go what direction these letters is gonna go. We just go with the flow. So we'll see where it leads and what revelation comes forward tonight in these letters. So it says, you may ask, what is the difference between universal consciousness and divine consciousness? Universal consciousness is the universal realm of space which none may enter or access, since it rests in a state of equilibrium and self-contained energy. And just to go back, when we talk about energies, when we talk about in equilibrium, it's talking about electricity and magnetism in equilibrium are masculine and feminine. Feminine. Why am I bobbling to that? Yeah, are masculine and feminine in equilibrium. Divine consciousness is the reunion of the original impulses within universal consciousness, which were released to become both the activity and the substance of creation at the moment of the Big Bang. And he told us, and Big Bang is what scientists called it. I know I got a comment like, the comment says, oh, there was no Big Bang. That's a man-made thing. Christ is not calling it a Big Bang, but it's just a way for us to understand it. It clearly states that this is what our scientists called a Big Bang. So so don't get all focused on the word Big Bang because scientists say it's Big Bang. What really happened, it's just man and energy, two energy in equilibrium. And something happened that to cause some that the state what do they call it? An eruption. An eruption happened and that caused the chaos which started creation. That caused the chaos which started creation. And yeah, and scientists call it Big Bang, but that's why this particle accelerator, which they call CERN, which man-made CERN, which man-made CERN, which men in this realm made, tried to recreate the Big Bang, trying to recreate what happened at that time of eruption. And because they know that if they try to create, they're trying to tap into creation, they're trying to change things. So if you hear about CERN, they call it a particle accelerator. And when you look at it, when you look it up, it's saying, oh, it's trying to recreate the Big Bang. It's trying to recreate what um, happened during creation. That's what it's trying to do, and do many things, trying to replicate creation, and whatever they want to use it to do, um, whatever they wanted to use it to do in this realm to take over this 3D realm. I saw a video on on TikTok of this lady talking about it, and I sent her a message. And I'm like, she keep talking about angel technology, angel technology. So I'm like, she's like, oh yeah, CERN is their angel technology. So the CERN thing, it plays a big part in what we do and see in this realm, not necessarily real, but in a way that it tried to recreate the events happen when creation was started. All right. So, yeah, so divine consciousness is the reunion of the original impulses within universal consciousness. The reunion of the original impulses within consciousness is the original impulses. Remember, always it's electricity and magnetism. It's everywhere around us. It's the stuff creation is made of. It's the stuff our realm is made of. It's electromagnetism. That's what the energies, the impulses of creation. That's what it's talking about. So divine consciousness is the reunion of the original impulses within universal consciousness, which were released to become both the activity and the substance of creation, and at the moment of the Big Bang. Okay, just try to go back if you've missed one of our presentation, what Christ is trying to say here. Okay, so these impulses were explosively divided. So electricity and magnetism was divided at the Big Bang, at the time of chaos, at the time of creation. So these impulses were explosively divided and then came together in a state of mutual restraint. They were also destined to work forever in the created realm, either separately, manifested as energies, or together restrained in equilibrium. It is only the realm of divine consciousness that science may penetrate. So, science can only penetrate the realm of divine consciousness, the reunion of the energies. And earlier, Christ talked about here when it says the impulses were explosively divided and then came to get together in a state of mutual restraint. So when that chaos happened, you have electricity that represents masculine, that represents our father. It was still creating. And then you have magnetism, um, bonding and repulsion was what she was doing. That's the feminine aspect after the Big Bang. Um, she was, um, she represents, she was doing two things. So when father was just creating, I'm just saying father, or if you want to say electricity was just creating, and she was making sure that say father created a positive, then there's a negative added to it. And if father creates or a negative, then a positive um was added to it. So magnetism or mother was playing a double role. That's what we call bonding and rejection. And it also serve it's if you watch our video last week about the ego, we still have that bonding and rejection in our ego, which is part of who we are in the feminine role, in the feminine role. So that's what it's saying. Say even though there was the everything exploded, there was no more equilibrium. Even though there was no more equilibrium, they were still coming in. They were still together in a state of mutual restraint. And he said, perhaps the following paragraph will explain this more clearly. Universal consciousness, embodiment of universal impulses. Remember, universal consciousness is electricity and magnetism in a state of equilibrium. That's just a universal consciousness, a place of divine energy in space. You know how powerful that is? Mm. You know how powerful that is? That's the optimal. That's what you call heaven. That's the optimal realm. If you go to that place and you're not vibrating at a higher frequency, oh my God, it just swallow you up. Even though we're energy beings, it just swallow you up. You have to be vibrating at a certain frequency to tap into that universal consciousness. Universal consciousness, embodiment of universal impulses, and it carves the impulses of the will to create in mutual restraint with the purpose to experience self. So we talked about the will to create. This is representing of the masculine in mutual restraint with the purpose to experience itself. And that purpose, that's what we call um, feminine energy. Um, it's also intelligence, representing the masculine aspect of it, in mutual restraint with love. And love always represents the feminine aspect of creation. And impulse of intelligent will, equilibrium, impulse of love and purpose. So this is all saying it's just the restraint. This is what universal consciousness means. It's just in equilibrium with masculine and feminine, or electricity and magnetism together. Having given you this intellectual word description of universal consciousness, you will not be any closer to an appreciation of the sublime magnificence and grandeur of the power, nor of the beauty, joy, harmony, ecstasy contained in color and sound beyond your dimension. We can't. Because if we're going to have to understand that we're energy beings, we can't even get people to understand that they're not this physical body that they're looking at, much less to understand that there's a place where um mother and father, electricity and magnetism is just in equilibrium. And we have to understand what that means in equilibrium. It, it's like um all joy, there's no chaos, there's nothing pulling against it. The ecstasy, the divine ecstasy, you know, everything in equilibrium. Everything in equilibrium. That's what that represents. Everything. Peace, joy, no lack, nothing. So when we talk about heaven, this is what heaven and more look like, feels like. Just imagine you're at a place, even on this earth, where you don't have any lack. You don't have any lack. You're in great health. Your bills are taken care of. Everything you want, you have. Your children are okay. You have love. You have everything that you need. Mm? You're just at peace. At peace. Let me read this together again. Having given you this intellectual word description of universal consciousness, you will not be any closer to an appreciation of the sublime magnificence and grandeur of the power, nor of the beauty, joy, harmony, ecstasy contained in color and sound beyond your dimension. It is only we who have ascended in consciousness frequencies of vibration to the very portals or edges of the equilibrium of universal consciousness who experience and can radiate the rapture of self awareness of true potential without desiring to fulfill it, the wondrous joy of personal fulfillment without lifting a finger. Mm, mm. It's, my mind can go anywhere. It's like this place is like you at a place where anything you think of, you could get it just by your thoughts. That's the power in that universal consciousness. And Christ said, like, we can't even imagine in our 3D realm. Christ is saying only people, ascended beings, ascended masters, Saint Germain, Buddha, listen, Buddha, Muhammad, Jesus, these are ascended beings. Who else? Krishna, and all them. We're here divided. We're here down divided by religion, divided by the color for skin. This is what matters. Raising our vibrational frequencies. So we can that when we leave this physical world, we can experience all this. Melchizedek. I'm still out there on Melchizedek. I'm trying to see. That's a powerful person, but we'll get to know more much about Melchizedek. That's a teaching I hope is my soul, my guides will lead me into Melchizedek. Yeah. So Christ is just experience telling you what this is what and listen, even though they're ascended beings, he said to the edges of equilibrium of universal consciousness. But when something is so powerful, you know how you even have to be there. The closer you get to that universal consciousness, the more you feel its presence. And that's what raising our vibrational frequencies is about. Because when I start out at I was talking about that if you hear this presentation or these presentations and you be like, you know what, deep ministry, I'm just stuck here in my physical self. I can't even imagine that I can't even imagine that God lives within me or I could raise my vibrational frequency. I have to change this and I have to change that. No, the law of polarity is it's one pole, one pole. You just at the end of that pole. At one end, you have this universal consciousness, a place of bliss, a place of equilibrium, a place where there is no need. And you have yourself at the other side of the pole. You're at the other end of the pole, where it's just matter, where you're thinking, oh, I'm just the self I see in the mirror. You know, I have to depend on the government. I have to depend on the. You're not a bad person. When you understand who you are, remember where universal consciousness is at one end. And we're just going up on the pole. That's how I see it. We're going up on the pole, and the goal is to go as close as to that universal consciousness. So when you raise your vibrational frequency, you're closer to that universal consciousness. So you start experiencing the divine realm. You start understanding that you know what, listen, my thoughts are creating my reality. You start understanding that you have the power of this universal consciousness. And if you understand the law of polarity, it's the same power at one end. It's just a lesser power at the other end of the same pole. So it's the same God power, but we're just experiencing a limited amount because of our consciousness. And when I say consciousness, our awareness of who we truly are. So we're in a time now when the goal is to understand who we are. And when the more understand who you are, you raise your consciousness vibration. And you get closer to the universal consciousness. You get close. It's like you're saying you're getting closer to God. That's what this means. And then you start experiencing. I heard some people on TikTok, oh, we shifted timeline. You start experiencing that. You start meditating and tapping into spiritual realm where your ancestors, remember, those who have passed and gone, they're not really gone. Even those you don't know you have when you're meditating, coming in and show yourself then. And the most important thing when you start raising your consciousness is to understand your soul, is to understand that you're just what you see in the mirror is just a physical projection of your soul. Your soul is your true self. Your soul is that person Christ talked about that's sitting at the right hand of God. It's your soul that interceding on your behalf um, with that divine consciousness, with Father, Mother, God. It's your soul. So give everything, let your soul take full control. Give everything to your soul. You're not just have a soul, not just your soul, but you have a spiritual team. And we used to learn in Sunday school about our angels, our guides around us. You know, we have to understand who we are. So it's not that God is over here and you're over there. It's the same pole. We come from the same source, one source. We're just at different ends of the pole. Someone is way on the totem pole, at the bottom of the totem pole. I don't know. You remember that references? You're at the bottom of the totem pole.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Some is just at the bottom of the totem pole, but it's the same pole.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's the same pole. And universal consciousness, you want to call him God, you want to call him Father and Mother, is at the top of the totem pole. And our goal is to go as close as we can to that. We have to get out at the bottom of the totem pole because when you're at the bottom of the totem pole, you have no idea who you are. You're just seeing your eyes through this 10%. Our eyes only show us 10. Can you believe this? 10% of who we are. That's what our eyes show us. If 10%. I don't even know if it's 10%. It'll probably be less. That's not who you are. We are a divine beings. We are a living soul. So I know this world is catered to our ego. This world is catered to us not knowing who we are, but we have to wake up. We have to wake up. It's like we don't even have a choice because the babies coming out of the womb right now know who they are. The babies coming out of the womb right now, probably starting at the middle of the totem pole, way ahead of some of us who doesn't even know who we are. I saw um some of them not even 10 years old, sis. They already know. talk about their soul and how divine they are, and they don't die, and they're energy beings, you
Yep.
know, you know, not even 10 years old. So if this message find you and you're still thinking you have to wait on someone outside of you to help you, no, no. You don't have to wait for no one outside of you to help you. You have everything within you to help you move up on this totem pole. It's just one source. We're all one. It's one source, and the supreme creator, the source of all things, is at the other end, and everybody is in depends on your vibrational frequency. Your consciousness of vibrational frequency depends on that. It depends on where you're at on this pole. Yeah. You know, all these little sayings we hear growing up, they're coming back to us. They're coming to
True.
me deeper things.
True.
Um, Another one too, I was thinking when it said when I, last week when we understood that we our soul lives within us. I was thinking, um, what did they always tell us? Believe in yourself.
Yes. Yes.
Believe in yourself. If you heard this message and you'd be like, no, I don't know what deep ministry is talking about. Um, your soul, my soul can't be, if because we don't understand a lot of these things are coming down from our ancestors. I'm seeing it clearly and clear because they didn't have the Bible, but a lot of them didn't have the Bible. Some of them you couldn't even read. Let me talk about my ancestors. I don't think my grandmother even finished primary school. They couldn't read, but I even go back to my great grandmother. They knew that there was a power greater than they are. They understood that. They didn't need the Bible to teach them that. They tapped into community, their togetherness. They watched the moon. They watched the sun. Oh, it moves. They understood that there was a power greater than us.
Mm-hmm.
They did. Oh my, yeah. They understood that. So when we hear this saying, the bottom of the totem pole, you're at the bottom of the totem pole. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Yes, because you're who you are, your divine soul is leading you can is I think, and this is me, I haven't read it yet, but I think when things come in your mind, it's your soul. So many times I hear people, if I had followed my mind, because who you really are is your soul, is leading you and guiding you in this realm, but because you weren't taught about it, you ignore everything and you're going off what the world shows us, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yep, just like the prodigal son said, I will arise and go to my father's house. So we have to arise.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. I
Exactly. We have
get
to
it.
arise. Yes. We got to go up the totem pole somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. We have to. You see the blessings that comes when we arise too, sis, in the prodigal son.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
He was given new ring. He had a
Mm-hmm.
party. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, yeah, he was
Best calves.
celebrated.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, he was celebrated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So all these parables where Christ talk about the kingdom of heaven is likened unto. He told us in his letters last week that he's talking about our soul. He's talking, if we go back and read the Bible where Christ talk about the kingdom, when we find that our soul is the spiritual aspect of us. I give everything to my soul. And let me tell you, I wish anybody listening to me will do this, and I would love to hear your testimony if this message find you. Any question you have, like any pain in my body. And I'm not professing that I know this for true, for real, but deep within me, anything within my body, I said I give it to myself. But we've been saying that since before we even read this last week. We said, oh, we give it to our higher self. We give it to
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. And yeah, and now every thought that's that's not right that I think, because I know that our thoughts create our reality, I give it to my higher self. Anything I want or need, I give it to my higher self. Anything, cast your cares upon him. Give him everything, everything. You're in this thing together. The keys of Enoch, your soul and you are a team. The soul know where you at because you and the soul have to ascend. You don't know where you at in the kingdom, but your soul knows, and you guys are working together. So it's not separate from you. It's the higher self. When we decide to come here, the higher self stays in the kingdom. So listen to your soul. Listen to your soul. Give it everything, your cares, your need, your pain, your sickness, everything. Everything. Yeah, everything. And I'm telling you, I see a difference. I see a difference. So I was thinking about something. I'm like, I really don't want to do this. I know this isn't right. And listen, oh, it's not how you think it's gonna happen. I'm telling you, I talk about the phone. This phone, you think Bill Gates or whatever his name is controlling these phones?
Mm-hmm.
You think they're controlling these phones? Your soul also and your spiritual team is controlling these phones because they know what we give our attention. And you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I was just thinking about this today that I don't want to pay that bill. And here's this guy saying this, and or I was just thinking about this. I'll need my feet hurts and I want some natural medicine. And here it is. Here it is. It shows up, someone else talking about it. You might see somebody in the supermarket and you have a conversation with the person and they mention just what you ask your soul. Listen, let us wake up. We're divine beings, we're energy beings. I'm telling you, prove me wrong. If this message finds you, prove me wrong. Ask your soul anything. Ask your soul. Give everything to yourself. Your soul. It's you. It's still you. It's your higher self. It's your all-knowing self. It's yourself in heaven. I know it's hard to believe and understand, but what we're looking at, we're just energy. It's just a projection of who we truly are in this realm. The lighting and everything coming into this earth make us look solid, but we're not solid. We are not solid. All right. I know I like to go off on. Okay. So Christ is talking about the universal consciousness. And it says, and we mentioned that universal consciousness is just electricity and magnetism in equilibrium, or we could say masculine and feminine in equilibrium, or father and mother in equilibrium. That's where universal consciousness, and I think that's the top of the totem pole. The universal consciousness is at the top of the totem pole. That's the goal right there. That's where it is. I use this last term metaphorically, since although I retain my individuality, I am active in consciousness only and am in no way physical any longer, and have not been since my continuing spiritual ascension in other dimensions after my death on the cross. So I'm going to read what he says. So what he said, he meant metaphorically. He meant metaphorically. It is only we who have ascended in consciousness frequencies of vibration to the very portals or edges of the equilibrium of universal consciousness, who experience and can radiate the rapture of self-awareness of true potential without desiring to fulfill it. The wondrous joy of personal fulfillment without lifting a finger. Okay. So all this is saying, he's just saying he's using it metaphorically when he says, probably when he says lifting a finger, because he's not really lifting a finger because he's energy being. Okay. He's just trying to make a point that at the top of the totem pole, you could just imagine things and it comes into being. When you raise when you're where Christ is, where you one of these ascended master closer to universal consciousness. He's just trying to give us an idea of what it's like. That doesn't mean that he has a finger. Without lifting a finger, probably mean without even have to do any work to get what he wants. Okay? So he's saying he's using that metaphorically. So it says he retained his individuality. And that, remember we talked about that individuality or his ego? He retained it. I am active in consciousness only and am in no way physical any longer and have not been since my continuing spiritual ascension in other dimensions after my death on the cross. So he's just trying to tell us that he's not physical at all. He's not physical any longer as he was when he was on earth. All this is consciousness. He descended in consciousness to write these letters to us and just trying to wake us up at this time. You may wonder, how is it possible to have much, you may wonder, how is it possible to have such enormous universal impulses within a state of equilibrium? They are in a state of equal and mutual restraint. The bonding, nurturing, love impulses, holding, binding the creative, active will under control. Hey, hey, hey. So, why am I saying hey, 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 hey? Let me highlight this. Why am I saying that? This is for people who think the feminine is weak. Let's show you what the feminine aspect, we call it magnetism, is doing in that universal consciousness. Not from the minister's point of view, but from Christ's point of view. So he says, you may wonder how it is possible to have such enormous universal impulses within a state of equilibrium. So what he's saying, so you may be wondering, if you have an active mind like I do, such power in this realm, electricity and magnetism, this is where all creation comes from. This universal consciousness is what makes creation, and there's a total universe of pure power in a state of equilibrium. That's what universal consciousness is. And this state is so powerful that if you're not vibrating at a certain frequency, you can't even go to the edges of this. So probably how creation started, it was so full and burst something, it just burst into eruption, not eruption, but just burst open. That's why they call it the Big Bang. That's how creation started. And not Christ called it the Big Bang. I have to say that. Scientists on the earth call it the Big Bang. The great explosion took place. A great explosion took place. It's a universe of just pure power. But it's not power as we see it on earth. It's a power of balance. Just imagine it, just of pure love. It, it's just a state that we can't even imagine. It's a state that we hope to be of pure love, of pure healing, of pure blessing. It's just, and it doesn't even transcend the physical stuff that we have here. It's a state of love with power, basically. If we're not vibrating at a high frequency, you can't even go close to this. So it's like you may wondering how the state of equilibrium, how is it possible to have such enormous universal impulses within a state of equilibrium? And he said they are in a state of equilibrium and mutual restraint. Who's restraining it? Who's restraining the will? The will of the Father is always to create. So you have, and that's electricity. Father, we call it electricity. And then you have bonding, nurturing, love, impulses, holding, binding the creative will, active will under control. So it's like you have the feminine aspect, just like holding and the father's will under control, bonding, binding, love, nurturing, love impulses. So if you can't see it with your mind, father wants to create, and there's mother. Just have him and binding him and bonding, and it's all love, it's all unity, it's all togetherness. All right, I just got to put that there. The importance of the feminine aspect in creation. In spite of what we see in this world, in spite of what we see, the feminine plays an important role. I can only explain the phenomena in the following simple terms. If you place the palm of one hand on top of the palm of the other, with fingertips of each hand touching the touching the wrist of the other hand, and then try to separate them on, and then try to separate them, but still keep them tightly flat on each other, you will gain some idea of the meaning of equilibrium or mutual restraint. Okay. So if you place the palm of one hand on top of the palm of the other hand, palm of one hand on top of the palm of the other hand, with fingertips of each hand touching the wrist, with fingertips, the palm of it, with fingerprint, okay, place the palm of one hand on top of the palm of the other. Just putting your hands together with fingertips of each hand touching the wrist or the other hand, and then try to separate them Oh, I don't know. I'm thinking this. Okay. Separate them, but still keep them tightly flat on each other, but will gain some idea of the meaning of equilibrium or mutual restraint. So it's just telling you what's happening in universal consciousness. The restraint that's taking place, that um another eruption doesn't take place, another Big Bang. So that's what he's saying. Furthermore, you must realize that although your hands are apparently expressing a physical phenomena, they are actually governed by and expressing impulses emanating from your brain. In addition, your brain may be the vehicle of expressing consciousness, ideas, impulses, but in fact, the impulses is the reality of all movement of any kind, not the physical brain, which is only an instrument of expression of such impulses. I have given you only an intellectual account of universal consciousness. How can I describe for you the latent power, the magnificence of reverence, the rapture, the radiant joy, the state of utter content and peace and harmony of its beings? Okay, let's start up here. So it's saying, all right. It says, furthermore, you must realize that although your hands are apparently expressing a physical phenomena, they are actually governed by and expressing impulses emanating from your brain. In addition, your brain may be the vehicle of expressing consciousness, ideas, impulses, but in fact, the impulse is the reality of all movement of any kind, not the physical brain, which is only an instrument of expression of such impulses. So when we think our brain is the thing that's it's working. It's getting all everything from outside of it, from these impulses, from electricity, magnetism, not the physical brain, not the physical brain. Let me tell you, every day we read this thing, we get an idea of who we truly are. The brain is just an instrument of expression in such impulses.
Mm,
Huh? It's just an instrument used to communicate with us.
okay.
But look, we can look at that. So everything comes in our mind. Everything comes in our mind is coming from that realm of consciousness.
Wow.
I've always thought like um, you know, you know, I was gonna say I've always thought, but I notice when something's wrong with their brain, they measure, oh my God, they measure the amount of um electricity and magnetism that's coming out of your brain. EEG. They put
Oh,
all these things on your brain to measure the amount of electricity coming out of it. Oh, wow.
mm.
Mm.
Now we know why they came up with that machine,
Which one?
the EEG machine. You know how they give you a scan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's how they come. Or the MRI machine, magnetic resonance, something.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. So the EEG machine, even the EKG machine that they use on the heart, electrocardiogram.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. And EEG is, I think, electroencephalopathy, encephal something. They measure the amount of electricity coming into your brain. So it's the amount of impulses coming in. Oh, wow. The physical brain is only an instrument of expression of such impulses. So the impulse comes in and the neurons in our brain probably accept it. And it depends on how much electricity is accepted in our brain. That's how they know that something is going on. Because your brain's supposed to be able to be probably be at capacity with the impulses coming in. So when if they measure your brain and they see something not firing, they used to say your brain not firing, you know. Oh, hmm, oh,
It's making sense.
making sense. Everything in this world is made up of electricity and magnet.
Magnets. Yeah.
Yeah, everything is.
Yeah, because they always say if your brain is not transmitting, then they have to then they're gonna take you off life support.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, brain dead. It's not receiving no electric impulses.
Mm.
Oh my gosh. So just imagine what comes into us on a daily basis. We have to be so grateful, you know? Grateful for and so many times we ignore what's coming in.
True. Because we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
Mm.
We don't know. Mm. Okay, all right. So Christ is just trying to explain to us what universal consciousness look like. And he says, I have given you only an intellectual account of universal consciousness. How can I describe you, the latent power, the magnificence of reverence, the rapture, the radiant joy, the state of utter contentment and peace and harmony of its being? Mhm. We can only imagine because this universal consciousness is everything good in power. It's like joy in full power. It's like love in full power. That's how I say it. No, um, nothing evil, nothing, everything good in full power. That's how we could look at the universal consciousness is. Because it's when we start loving one another, when we start loving ourselves, When we come to the truth of who we are, that's how we get closer to this universal consciousness. To get closer to it, we can't have any baggage. We can't hate our sisters and brothers. That like what we've done in this world. We have to know that we're all one and we come from the same divine source.
Mm-hmm.
So even though Christ is doing his best to explain what this universal consciousness is, we can only understand it by saying it's everything good in its fullest power. That's what universal consciousness is. Even if you can contemplate and realize that out of this immensity of consciousness, the entire universe has drawn life and form. You can't perceive more than an electron of the vast, immeasurable, joyous reality of universal consciousness. So an electron is probably a tiny, tiny thing. That's the only thing, that's how much we can perceive of the immensity of universal consciousness. To fully understand the nature of creation, the reasons why the ego function as it does, why created entities feel the urges they feel, it must be understood that the nature and quality of universal consciousness is radiant joy, fulfillment, happiness. It look like he's still on the ego. He's going, letting us understand universal consciousness so we can understand another aspect of the ego.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's like this. This is what I termed the kingdom of heaven is within you, within your soul, within the deepest recesses of your psyche, which is in the intermediary, which is the intermediary between the radiance of your soul and the shadow self of ego. Okay, let's see this. This is what I termed the kingdom of heaven within you, within your soul, within the deepest recess of your psyche, which is the intermediary between the radiance of your soul and the shadow of self and the shadow self of ego. So your shadow self is your ego. But let me see what this is saying here. Is it saying this is what I term the kingdom of heaven within you, within your soul, within the deepest recess of your psyche, which is the intermediary between the radiance of your soul and the shadow self ego. So, is it saying that universal consciousness is deep within your soul? This is what I term the kingdom of heaven within you, within your soul, within the deepest recesses of your psyche.
So when he talk about psyche, he's talking about your mind.
Mind, yeah, which is the intermediary. It is the intermediary between the radiance of your soul and the shadow self of ego.
Hmm.
Intermediary. So the middle, it's in the middle between the radiance of your soul and the shadow self of ego.
So your mind is in between.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm. This is something I have to really meditate upon. Let me read this full paragraph again, see if I understand it better. To fully understand the nature of creation, the reasons why the ego functions as it does, why created entities feel the urges they feel, it must be understood that the nature and quality of universal consciousness is radiant joy, fulfillment, happiness. That is what I termed the kingdom of heaven within you. Okay. Within your soul. Okay. Within the deepest recesses of your psyche, which is the intermediary between the radiance of your soul and the shadow self of your ego. Okay. So the qualities here is what is termed the kingdom of heaven is within you.
It's radiant joy and fulfillment of
And
happiness.
happiness. This is what I term the kingdom of heaven within you. And this is what's within our soul. And it's within the deepest recess of our psyche, of our mind, which is the intermediary between the radiance of your soul. So it is like the intermediary between the soul and the ego, the
So
state.
it, so he's saying the mind is the mediator between the soul.
Is saying the joy, the fulfillment within the deepest recesses of your soul psyche. It's your soul psyche. Now, within the deepest recesses of your psyche, this is within your soul, which is in the deepest recesses of your psyche.
So the kingdom of heavens is in your mind. It's in your mind, and your mind is the
In your
mediator,
soul.
the mediator between your soul and the ego.
Yeah, it seems like that's closest. So yeah, because the kingdom is within you, within your soul. All this is determined as the kingdom of heaven within you. And all this is in your soul, within the
Oh,
deepest,
so you say the mind is the go-between person between the soul and the shadow of the ego.
and the ego.
Okay. So it's like a peacemaker. It's an intercessor, right?
The psyche.
Mm, okay. So we call the psyche like the middleman then, right?
It seems like it. It seems like the psyche is between the soul and the ego. It says the psyche, which is the intermediary between the radiance of your soul and the shadow self of ego.
Yeah, because I mean, because when you say something is immediate, you saying that like it's the middleman, is the negotiator, is the go-between person or thing.
Yes. But what is though? What is that? It's the universal consciousness, it's the joy, fulfillment, happiness.
Mm.
Okay, we'll probably read a little bit. You see what it, yeah. So universal consciousness is radiant joy, fulfillment, and happiness. This is what I termed the kingdom of heaven within you, within your soul, within the deepest recess of your mind, which is the mind, which is the intermediary between the radiance of your soul and the shadow of self-ego. But if it's in the mind, how can it also be within your soul? But your soul is has to be the mind.
But it says which,
Everything.
it said which is, so which is, and be, so that would be like the middleman.
The middleman is the mind.
And it goes between your soul and the ego.
And the ego.
One is the radiance of your mind, and one is the shadow of the ego.
The ego is the shadow of the self.
Mm-hmm.
The shadow of the soul. Yeah. So what's holding us up here? We're seeing the soul and the mind separate. That's what's getting me. Within your soul, within the deepest recess of your psyche. So your soul and your soul and your psyche has to be one. See?
Well, isn't that what they call our mind? Your soul, your mind?
I was
No.
well, the one of the universal laws, everything is mental. Everything is mental. Everything is in our minds. But I see the soul of the spiritual aspect of who we are. So if you said the soul is mind, then you're saying we are mind. We are just mind. See what I'm?
No, yeah, but I'm thinking where that's where that's where your thoughts are
Yeah,
contained
yeah.
in your soul, in your
In your
mind.
soul. Mm-hmm. So our soul also should our soul also be mind, body, and soul. Mind, body, and soul.
Mm-hmm.
Mm? Mind,
Hmm.
body, and soul. Your mind, body, and soul. So our ego is in the mind. It's only in the mind.
Mm.
Fulfillment, happiness. This is what I term the kingdom of heaven within you. It's within your soul. It's within your soul. It's within the deepest recess of your psyche, which is the intermediary between the radiance of your soul and the shadow self ego. The radiance of your soul and the shadow self of ego. There's an intermediary between both. All right, let's continue to read, see if we get a better clarity. So it says, to return to this transcendent state of glorious, beautiful, happy, harmonious being is your soul's deepest longing. It is the enduring longing, this inborn unconscious, it is the enduring longing, this inborn unconscious recollection of equilibrium and peace, joy and harmony, which through the psyche prompts the ego to manipulate the environment on your behalf. Its consistent purpose is to bring you back to your primal original state of glorious ecstasy, out of which you draw your soul, being, and form. Oh,
So that's what I was saying is that that's the go between your mind and your ego, your soul and your
so
ego.
the mind. That's what you're saying. The mind goes between your soul and your ego.
Yeah, it's and so I look at it as like like to bring like to reconcile, or to maybe an agreement.
Yes, between the ego, an agreement with the ego,
The
um
mind and the soul and the
soul.
ego
So the mind is trying to
reconcile
with the
the
ego
soul.
to bring you into a place of this happiness and gloriousness. Is that what you're trying to say, sis?
Yeah, I'm saying it's from what I'm getting, what I'm understanding
Yeah.
is that it the mind
Mm-hmm.
reconcile the soul. It goes between to bring back the happiness, the joy.
So you think it's the mind who's reconciling the soul or reconciling the ego? What do you think?
I think it's the mind, because the nature and quality is joy and fulfillment and
Mm-hmm.
happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where the kingdom is within.
Mm-hmm.
It's within your soul,
Mm-hmm.
which is the deepest part of the mind, and which is the reconcile that's I think it's saying it's the one that mediates or
Mm-hmm.
try to bring in agreement, between
Between
the soul and the ego.
and the ego. So the psyche, the mind is trying to be the intermediary between the soul and the ego.
Yes. My mind tell me I'm happy. My mind tell me I'm sad.
Okay.
My mind said I'm not feeling you. My mind said
Yeah.
I don't love you. I don't feel like my mind tell me not to go.
Okay.
This
Okay.
is how I'm seeing it.
Yeah. And so yeah, so the mind is trying to help the ego to go back to where the soul wants to be, in a
Which is in
place
line. Yeah, put the ego under subjection.
right, which is a place of equilibrium,
Balance.
yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
balance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I couldn't wrap my mind about the 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 mind and the soul, the relationship between the mind and the soul. That's what.
I,
But
I, I
right,
think I think the mind and the soul works together.
it seems like it now, or as we read this, but I wouldn't have known this without reading it. So now we
Because
know. Yeah, because now we know because remember earlier it says that the brain doesn't do anything really more than it's just a receptacle for
it
whatever
receives
impulses
it,
it's getting.
yeah, it
Yeah,
receives.
yeah,
So yeah. So
yeah.
whatever it tells it, that's what the mind receives.
But could the mind be universal consciousness?
Mm.
The impulses from universal consciousness. Let's go back and read what it says about the brain. Let's go back and read what it says about the brain. Right here. He says, furthermore, you must realize that although your hands, is that here? Let me see. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
In
Furthermore, you
addition,
must, mhm, your hands are apparently expressing a physical phenomenon that are actually governed by and and expressing impulses emanating from your brain. In addition, your brain may be the vehicle of expressing consciousness, ideas, impulses, but in fact, the impulse is the reality of all movement of any kind, not the physical brain, which is only an instrument of expression of such impulses. So that's where it comes from because we're thinking our mind comes from the brain. Well, it seems as if the impulses that's coming from the brain is just receiving the impulses coming from that universal consciousness.
mm,
I know it says everything is mental. I know it says the universe is mental. That's one of the laws of the universe. That's one of the laws of the universe. Everything is mental. So the mind and the soul. The mind is the intermediary between the soul and the ego.
yeah, but what does the Bible say about renewing your mind?
Renew your mind. Renew your mind. Renew your
Mm,
mind.
this is interesting.
Yeah, it is. Mm. Emanate impulses emanating from your brain. So your hands are governed by your brain. In addition, your brain may be the vehicle of expressing consciousness ideas and impulses. So the brain is taking it from the impulses from that divine consciousness, but in fact, the impulses is the reality of all movement of any kind. So we can't move or anything without that impulses and not the physical brain, which is only an instrument. The physical brain, which is only an instrument of expression of such impulses. A
Yeah, when it's an instrument, that means it's just a tool.
tool to express the impulses it gets. Mm, mm. Okay. This really got me, I'm telling you. This is what I termed the kingdom of heaven within you, within your soul, within the deepest recess of your psyche, which is the intermediary between the radiance of your soul and the shadow of the self ego.
So what does intermediary mean?
I think the
The- it-
middle is in the middle. Let's look for the intermediary.
Mhm.
Maybe,
So it's a person who's trying to reconcile to bring
right,
back.
right. Is to reconcile the ego to line up with what the soul wants. Because the soul wants to be in that state of balance.
Hmm. And of course, ego have to be on the high horse.
Yeah, a link between, yeah, in order to try to bring about an agreement. Yeah, but yeah, but I still can't wrap my mind up how the mind plays a part in this.
Maybe because that's where we think.
Mm, could be, could be, it could be. The only way I could think is because it's coming from the universal consciousness. The what's the name? Um, the law of polarity, the law of gender, everything has a gender. The universe is mental. Universe is mental. Everything is mental. Ah, so to return to this, so our soul wants us to go back to that state of um glorious, beautiful, happy, harmonious being is your soul's deepest longing and joy, deepest longing to go back to that place. It is the enduring longing, this born unconscious. It is the enduring longing, this inborn unconscious recollection of equilibrium and peace, joy and harmony, which through the psyche prompts the ego to manipulate. So we're seeing, so the psyche comes in, sis, because it knows that the ego, it knows that our soul, you see right here, wants that, um, wants to go back to that place of equilibrium and peace, joy and harmony, which through the psyche prompts. Is the psyche the the spirit?
Ah,
Because the soul is longing to go back. It's like this is the intermediary, the psyche. Why is it play the psyche playing that role though? The psyche knows that your soul wants to go back to that place of equilibrium. which through the psyche prompts the ego to manipulate the environment on your behalf.
So the soul is unbalanced.
The soul is these impulses coming from the soul, because whatever the psyche is in it, it's like, is this what the soul is using to prompt the it's something, it's a tool for for the soul. The psyche is a tool for the soul. So is the soul sending these impulses to our mind? You get what I'm saying, sis?
To manipulate, to get back to harmony and peace,
In
because you're out
peace.
of balance.
Yeah,
You're
because
out of balance.
the ego causes us to be out of balance, but
Yeah.
the soul is 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 a true aspect of us. So the soul is longing, this inborn. It is this enduring longing, this inborn consciousness recollection of equilibrium and peace, joy and harmony. So the soul alone know about this state of equilibrium that we used to be, and the soul wants this. So, which through the psyche prompts the ego to manipulate the environment on your behalf.
So the mind manipulates the ego to bring the soul back to peace.
Right.
Mhm.
So the psyche has to be created by the soul. I don't, yeah, maybe we have to continue reading, say. With through the psyche, with through the mind, prompts the ego to manipulate the environment on your behalf. Its consistent purpose is to bring you back to your primal original state of glorious ecstasy, out of which you drew your soul, being, and form. Out of which you drew your soul, being, and form.
Hmm.
Mm.
But it's saying that your ego can bring your desires bring about um desires of joy and pleasure.
But it says it manipulates the environment on your behalf. So something is prompting the ego to behave the way it does.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Our mind is prompting the ego to behave the way it does. And we could see that. We could see that it's our mind, right? It is telling us that it's causing this fear, but I can't understand what the role the psyche play. Why would the psyche prompts the ego to manipulate the environment on your behalf? You see what I'm
But the,
saying?
but then it explained that the ego can bring about its own joy and pleasure.
Oh, okay, down there at the bottom, it can bring about your desired joy and pleasure. Only by means of the two magnetic emotional bonding and rejection impulses, which are only materialized impulses to give you your individuality.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
only so these impulses can only work in the physical realm. Therefore, the inborn longing, let me continue, see if we get it better. So, therefore, the inborn longing to rejoin the source of being is experienced in the electromagnetic parameters of thought and feeling as more of what gave you a pleasurable feeling previously. More friends, more house, car, clothes, etc. Each time the more has been achieved, there is a little glow of satisfaction, perhaps a showing off to the neighbors to heighten the happiness, gaining one upon them and another little glow, and then the novelty dies away. The new possession becomes mundane. The senses are again at rest in equilibrium, mental tiredness sets in, routine becomes dull and boring. To generate some life, the ego finds another goal to be achieved to provide excitement and pleasure. Thus, life is an endless chase for personal satisfaction of various kinds of leaving and hidden of various kinds, leaving the hidden soul starved and unsatisfied, still longing for something more. But what is it? What is it my deepest self is craving? You ask in desperation. When a person reaches when a person reaches an understanding of the true source of emptiness and continual inner craving for more of what made me feel good before, and begin to meditate to make contact with that which brought him or her into being. A little of the divine equilibrium filters through the human consciousness. The emptiness begins to recede. If indeed such a person catches a true glimpse of the eternal and the true goal in life, the longing for more possession will eventually die a natural death. The desire for more possession will be gradually placed with a sincere appreciation what you already have and a sense of consistent con- contentment through express experiences of the miraculous interventions or activity of divine consciousness within the daily life, the human consciousness is greatly uplifted and learns that its daily needs are met in the very best way. Faith is increased and joy enhanced.
Quite,
This is
quite frankly, one paragraph is speaking definitely. The more is the ego.
right. One is talking about this paragraph right here is talking about satisfying the ego. It's just temporary.
More this, more that, more this,
Yeah,
more that, more that.
yeah,
You get more, you're still not satisfied. So that's
yeah.
definitely an ego. That's definitely an ego thing.
So the mind, so it's just the psyche. It's just the mind prompting the ego then,
Telling it to get more and more and more.
telling it to get more and more. It's not coming from the
Not the
divine
soul,
source.
not the
They're the
soul.
soul.
Yeah.
So when you decide to search, go into meditation and trying to um, tap into the divine aspect, the that soul, that equilibrium, then you get a little taste of what you feel satisfied, what satisfaction feels like.
You want your soul to be at peace,
Yeah. And
tormented.
yeah, so that's the goal of the soul wants that equilibrium. Yeah, but I still gotta go back and meditate on this. I really didn't understand the role the psyche play
Yeah,
between the
that part
soul
you
and
have
the
to
ego.
definitely chew on. Gotta
Yeah,
chew on that one.
we gotta chew on that one. That's no good one. Yeah, I don't understand the role the psyche plays in it's the intermediary, it's the middle person between the ego and the soul.
Well, I feel like the mind can tell you good and the mind can tell you bad. So I could see how it could play two roles. It could prompt the ego and it can prompt the soul.
Yeah,
It could prompt the mind, the soul to be at peace, and it can prompt the ego to get more and more.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Mm. Right here gets me. It's an inborn unconscious recollection of equilibrium and peace, joy and harmony, which through the psyche prompts the ego, prompts the ego. So it seems that the psyche is born out of the soul, which through the psyche prompts the ego to manipulate the environment on your behalf. Its consistent purpose is to bring you back to your primal original state of glorious ecstasy, out of which you drew your soul, being, and form. Yeah, but but so so it seems as if the mind doesn't the mind doesn't know what true state of equilibrium is
No, because they
because
always say you got the mind of your own. I tell you to do this, and you
yeah.
do that. You got a mind of your own.
Yeah, so the mind seems as if, and you mentioned something earlier, renew your mind,
Mm-hmm.
because maybe this happened to those of us that doesn't know who we are, you know? You get what I'm saying? So if we don't know who we are, that's how the mind can manipulate us and think we need all these
More and
things for
more and more.
more and more to feel a state of equilibrium. But
Mm-hmm.
when, so as you mentioned earlier, renew your mind. So this mind, this psyche thing too has to be renewed.
Yeah,
You see what?
in order to get back to a place of harmony and peace.
Yes, yes. So the psyche has to be renewed. The mind has to be renewed.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the mind is not renewed, it's going to try to use the things of this world to give us the sense of harmony and peace, you know? But when you renew your mind, then you start meditating, then you're conscious of who you are. Then you know that you're creating your own reality with your mind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm. Ah. So as our mind renewed, we have to renew our mind so we can experience that state of equilibrium, peace, joy, and harmony.
I agree. I
Mm,
agree.
mm. Mm. Never, not ever, we'll tell you, we never know what these letters where these letters gonna take us. We never know. Because I never saw the mind like that.
Yeah, that's what it made. That's what prompted me to think of, you know, you someone always say, "Oh, you have a mind of your own." I tell you, go get this, and you bring me
Right,
that. You have a
right,
mind of your own.
right.
Mm.
Look what he calls the ego. Your ego is your shadow self,
So it's not your actual self; it's just a shadow.
a shadow of yourself. Your soul is your true self.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so the soul is just longing to. Mm, but the mind has to come from is getting all those thoughts from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the soul is sending out those impulses, and because we're not our mind is not renewed, it's coming more for the ego, you know? Like the soul sent out that impulse, Debbie, you need to calm yourself down, you know? And if your mind doesn't is not renewed, you're gonna see that so many different ways. You're gonna see it as probably drink something or take a pill, you know,
Yeah.
based on what we've learned in this world. You probably take a pill or drink something. And if your mind is renewed, you're gonna think, oh, I probably need to go to in meditation and spend some time, uh, you know, in meditation and pray and
Mm-hmm.
prior meditation.
Mm-hmm. Take it to your higher self.
Take it to your higher self. Yes. Yeah. So yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. So the mind is the intermediary between the radiance of your soul and the shadow self-ego of ego. And this makes it all, that's why we come into the knowledge when we say take it to your high, give it to your higher self. So the mind can't even manipulate, you know, any thoughts come, you'll be like, I give it to my higher self,
Mm-hmm.
you know. I give my lack, I give everything to my higher self. Cut out that middleman. Oh, well, okay. All right. We'll leave here tonight. This was something to think about as we go through this day or this week, as we go through this week. The deepest recess of your psyche, which is the intermediary between the radiance of your soul and the shadow self of ego. It's like the ego wants to create its own self, or it creates its own self. You ever think about it, sis?
Well, of course, the ego always creates itself. Why you
Yeah,
always think you want to do better than your neighbor, you want to do better than your
exactly.
sibling, you want to
Yeah,
do better than your spouse, you always want
yeah,
to prove something,
yeah.
huh? Uh-huh. It's always in competition.
It's always. Mm, yeah. So our soul is trying to take us to that place of, and we start out with universal consciousness. I know next week we're gonna touch on divine consciousness. So that place of equilibrium that our soul wants to take us, that's what's called that's what's called universal consciousness. That place of radiant joy, fulfillment, and happiness.
Mm.
That's what universal consciousness represents. Okay. All right. Give it to our soul. Give it to our higher self.
Yes, definitely. I'm
Yes.
definitely be meditating on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's food for thought.
That's food for thought. You see how we terms our soul, the radiance of your soul. The
Mm-hmm.
radiance of your soul. That's you. That's us. The radiance of your soul. It's like the perfect part of us. Ah. All right, all right. Just I thank you, Father, for tonight. I thank you for this word, Father, Mother God, Father, Mother Consciousness, our higher selves, our teams, those who was sent here for and to give us this knowledge and understanding of who we are, so we too can experience that joy, that happiness. And Father, I know our shadow self is so prominent in this realm. So, Father, I pray for strength that we may be able to overcome this ego, overcome this me, this I, understand who we are and know that this is not who we truly are. Oh, is that who we are? We're happy, we're at peace, we're fulfilled. So, Father, Mother God, we just thank you tonight for leading us into this knowledge. We couldn't have done it. I know I couldn't have done it by myself. I thank you for all the blessings. I thank you for everyone who's going to listen to this presentation. I thank you for also for my sister as you continue to pour into her your divine understanding, knowledge of herself, knowledge of you. We pray also for our listeners, those who are hearing this this presentation and find it useful and applying it to their daily lives. Father, we thank you for each and every one, Father, who participates or who have heard this message or will be hearing this message. Bless each and every one of their homes and their families and their communities at large, Lord. We thank you. Thank you for those who are always, we pray for those who are homeless tonight, Father, in every area of this world, looking up on the curtains of heaven, while hoping that you may make a way. Father, we put those mighty men and women of God, your children, before you, that they may come to know that this poverty is only a state of mind. It's only state of mind that who they truly are there are abundance, they're loved, they're rich. Oh, Father, we pray for your children to wake up to who they really are. We thank you for your blessing. Thank you for your healing. Thank you, Father. We give you honor, we give you glory, we give you praise. We say
Yeah.
thank you,
Amen. Thank you. Yes.
thank
Thank you, Father. Thank you.
you. Yes. How you feeling today, sis?
All is well. All is well.
Yes.
All is well.
Today was
Yeah.
a tough day. I was up and down and up. My feeling was my head, it was all over the place today.
All is well.
Yeah, yeah. We
Mhm.
don't know what it is, but we give it to our higher self.
That is it. That is it.
We
Yes,
give
that
we
is it.
give it to our higher
Definitely.
self. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Mhm.
Can't do anything else.
No, just give it there. Let ego go.
Yeah, let ego go. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it can't bring us temporary happiness.
No, not at all.
No. Yeah. Okay, sis, have a happy Sunday.
Yes, you be blessed. Okay,
Yeah,
get some rest. All
I
right, talk
will.
to you
I will.
soon. All
All
right,
right.
richest blessings.
God bless, sis.
All
God
right.